There are core principles that you must know if you're interested in starting a business that will make you $1 million your first year. Here's how. You just gotta do it scared. If you're gonna start a business, might as well do it right. I use these same principles to build a real estate portfolio worth over $1.5 million in just under 2 years. I pulled these principles from the book, The Lean Startup. So I'm taking you to school today. It's by Eric Ries, and I'll share some of my experiences with real estate as well, so stay tuned. The Lean Startup says, when you have a new business idea, instead of spending a lot of time and money making your product perfect, because I know who I'm talking to, Excellence Champion. Sometimes you can't even help it. You can't take off the cloak of perfection that you miss the opportunity to bless someone with your gift. Just get a simple version. We call it your MVP, your minimum viable product. The goal really is to get it out quickly so you can see if people actually even want it. By the end of this video, you'll be well on your way to thinking strategically about launching not only an impactful business, but one that makes you $1 million in your first year. Once you have your MVP, you want to show it to your potential customers so that you can get their feedback. Tell me why I know this person creating a product and they're scared to even go and talk to their potential customers. Like they're spending all this time creating this and thinking this is what maybe the customer might want, but you've not even had not one conversation with your potential customer. You don't know. How's that gonna work? You gotta know if they even like it. You gotta ask them, will you buy it? You gotta be able to identify what the need was that you were hoping to fulfill. And even more importantly, what will make it better? A perfect example is this wonderful community that we're building here. Make sure you're subscribing. This is the home of ETF investing. I'm taking you from not even knowing what to do when it comes to starting to investing to being a very confident investor over time. So here, if you're part of this family, you reach out to me and you're like, Rosie, this is the state of what's going on right now. This is what I desire. This is what I need. I don't even understand where to start with investing. How do I even go about creating a strategy around the right ETFs that fits my goals? You see, I'm hearing all of these comments and need so that I'm able to build exactly what you are asking for. What is going to take you from confusion, fear, or challenge to a state of I'm an investor. I'm doing this thing. 3 years, not even 3 years later, literally, you're going to start seeing growth in your portfolio and picking the right ETFs. But even more importantly, you understand how investing works. It's not just up, understanding that how the market plays, that when things are going down, you're not freaking out, right? Because you have the foundation, you have a plan in place. If anything is to go wrong, and you know how to pivot and make the right moves for your personal goal. The more I talk about this, I get excited. So you want to be a part of this family, okay? Make sure you hit the subscribe button and make sure you send this to a friend because we're building a community of millionaires. I always say, and I don't always say that, but I'm saying now that in about 5 to 7 years, I want to be sitting in a room with community members who've built a portfolio. We're sitting there and I have millionaires that we're talking about innovation, transformation, what the next steps look like in terms of the ability to have understood how to build a solid portfolio for themselves. Not some get rich quick tomorrow, but some long-term value growth and investment for themselves and their loved ones. So mind you, when it comes to what we're building for you, I'm even more excited because I've pulled together a team of folks who are way smarter than I am, who can run data around me and be able to create a unique system that you would have a very clear strategy around your unique ETFs that work for your personal goals. So like I said, if you're interested, make sure you're clicking that first link in the description. And as always, I always want people to get started right away. And so I've created a very simple, easy, free, quick doc that you can read through, understand the basics on how to get started for yourself and get going. Because at the end of the day, the goal is for you to be empowered to get started in investing that fits your goal. So when it comes to that business that you want to build for yourself, the feedback that you receive from your target audience is super important. Because that's really how you're going to be able to improve your product bit by bit until you have something that lots of people want. Now in his book, The Lean Startup, Rise calls this process of making something small, getting feedback, and then being able to improve on it quickly, the build, measure, learn loop. And he states that the goal is to go through this loop kind of like over and over until you get the most desirable product that really suits that target audience on exactly what they need. So more from his book. He says, after a few loops, you realize that either you've got something here and it's worth moving forward, or that your idea is just not that good. But the good thing that I continuously talk to you about is being able to pivot. The beauty about pivoting in a moment where you have this information is, or this experience, somebody might call it failing, but not here, because you're taking these lessons to be able to create a product that now serves that target audience or that customer that you desire to create a product for. And don't let it bug you down, especially if you've ever gone through this journey of wanting to build something and it just didn't hit, it just didn't click. You will be surprised the number of companies who actually started with a completely different path or idea, but they still kept going, whether they had that right team or the right vision, or some people kind of just like me. I have to be an entrepreneur. I have to create. I have to build a community. Whatever that looks like, you're going to find a way to create that. So it's okay to pivot because you just don't know how good it can get. The key though is not spending a lot of time and money on something that you don't even know if the audience or your target customer would even want it. And like I said, take it from me, somebody who's always been excited about entrepreneurship and has wasted money thinking, oh, if I just keep dumping in X amount, then it's going to turn in tenfold and create this astronomical business. No, that's not how it works. What I'm realizing now is the key is you bring value, your audience will tell you what they need, you listen, and you create something for them. So start small, get feedback, and be willing to change. Like the way that you're changing your fingers from unsubscribing to boop, subscribed, welcome. So when I think about these principles from the Lean Startup, the book, it really mirrors some of the journey or the principles that I've used to apply into my business. When I think about starting real estate, I don't have a real estate background. The funds were not immense and plentiful, but I had enough, right? I had enough of a foundation to be able to identify a need in the market that I came into, position myself as the person who had the value to be able to serve that market and be able to leverage funding with the net worth that I have built, especially with investing, and build out a real estate portfolio. And I'll tell you something, even when I started, right, it was going long-term rental. Now, the different models that you can use with real estate. And then I tried my hands on short-term rentals. And then I tried my hands on Section 8. And now we're looking to launch a whole slew of group homes. Like, the opportunity is endless, but how are you going to be able to know which market is needing your service or your value if you're not even playing, you're not even in the sandbox, you're not even playing the game in the first place? You're just preparing, researching, reading and researching, and having conversations about stop. So here are 7 lessons that you can take away from the Lean Startup. At this point, you probably don't even need to read the book. Look at me. I'm giving you the book education. Number 1, validate your business idea as quickly and cheaply as possible. This is that MVP that we talked about. Don't waste money and time on something that you don't even know if your audience will want it. 2, you want to actively seek out your customers' feedback so that you can iterate and improve on this value that you're looking to present to them. Your customers are your best source of guidance. 3, be ready to pivot, okay? You gotta be ready to pivot in order to be successful. But don't find it as a failure. Don't drop everything that you've done and call it quits. Take those lessons and pivot. 4, use the build, measure, learn loop to be able to guide your progress. When you're able to make something small and get it out into the marketplace, it also allows you to get the feedback that you need. And that even helps you because you're able to take that data and it informs you on what your next move should be. 5, avoid the temptation to overbuild your product, okay? Mr. and Mrs. Perfection, okay? The dogus of building, research, conversation. It stops right here. See, simplicity and speed will always win over perfection, especially when you're starting out. 6, sometimes we don't see the success we want is because we're not just simply creating a product that the people want. You're not reading the comments, you're not having conversations to know exactly, they just want to go from point A to point B. I've had the journey, the experience, the education, the lessons that I've done point A to point B. I can talk about it. I can create value around it. I can create education around that. Do that very simply. Because also that would be the quickest way for you to see revenue. And if you don't have revenue, you just have a hobby. So switching to making sure that you can quickly deliver and be able to see revenue, it creates more validation for you to continue building. And 7, the Lean Startup says treat your startup like an experiment. I kind of like that because then you have like your hypotheses, right? Then you test it with your customers and then you allow the data to be be able to guide you forward, just like how we would do in a lab experiment. That's a great way to think about your business. You know, I remember when I bought my first set of properties, all the mistakes that I could have made, I did that and more. Picking tenants. See, the thing is, I did screen them because I learned the process, I understood, and making sure I'm picking the right person. But can you ever pick the right person? Well, I allowed an unreasonable amount of empathy to influence my decision making. Another error I noticed later on too was I didn't really have a system for like repairs when things broke down. Everything became like an emergency, but I had to learn from those experiences and improve my processes with each property. And then I had to stick with the rules that I had set in terms of identifying an ideal candidate. You can never have a perfect tenant, but there are things that you can look for and put in place to make sure that tenant fits the culture that you're looking to build. But at least the foundation that I can influence and control, I've created a much more simpler system or process around it that we're able to see a stronger cash flow with the business. So it is possible to build a business that in your first year, you generate $1 million in revenue. Just because it's a small business, don't just build a small business. Your journey in becoming a successful entrepreneur, investor, it starts now. As a matter of fact, type now in the comments, okay? Because we mean business over here. And I know you do it scared.